that ban.
Yeah. Nice ban coming through there. And Rek'Sai is
That's
the last
weird.
one. Not Gragas.
Yeah, I find that very strange. Of course, Beast did play it in their last victory. He was strong on that champion, but it wasn't one of his power picks here. And Acorn, he's going to be more than happy to pick up Hecarim here for the first pick. Is going to leave the likes of Janna available here for Ella if he wants to pick that one up. But Nunu has completely escaped the draft, and I have a feeling Beast is going to insta-lock that champion.
Yeah, you would certainly expect him to take something along those lines, especially because there are some, I guess, hyper carries available, and they haven't also taken away the Lulu. So if this is a Hecarim locked in, I kind of expect a Nunu Lulu pick to come through from Snake.
Yeah, it could come down, and Lulu definitely a flex as well. Flandre could play that. Flandre, of course, could play anyone, but LGD, they moved over to the Nunu in the last second, and that makes a whole lot of sense.
Yeah, it certainly does, especially because Flandre has played the tanky, not the carry top laners, so I don't mind the fact that they went for the Nunu instead, and Gragas, that's picked up, doesn't give much away from the team comp, but Gnar being picked up from Flandre when Maokai is still available. That's crazy.
Yeah, I like this though. Flandre has just been picking up that Maokai every single time, and in their games against King didn't exactly look like it was having the impact that he really expected it to. So now moving back to that Gnar, and his Gnar engages have been terrifying.
Yeah, they certainly have been pretty good. So getting in there, also a better lane matchup against the Hecarim.
Yep.
So maybe looking for that. Maokai survives the Hecarim matchup. Gnar kind of wins it, and that is a blind pick Kassadin.
Blind Kassadin into BAKA, and you have to think that could potentially be a little bit of disrespect coming through from GODV. BAKA now able to pick whatever he wants. He knows exactly that Kassadin is going into the mid lane. Hecarim not going to be going anywhere other than top, considering the Nunu pick, and we'll see what happens. BAKA thinking about a Yorick. Not entirely sure whether that one's going to come through, and Crystal making up his mind as well. A lot of giggles coming through from the Snake lineup, and I like this. They've got smiles on their faces. They're confident heading into this game. Yeah,
they certainly are, and they know the entirety of the top side of the map, and it's Sivir being picked away from Imp.
Oh dear, but the Urgot, of course, ladies and gentlemen, has been left up with the Nautilus. This is an incredibly terrifying LGD lineup if they are going to lock in those champions, but Imp thinking about a Jinx here. And why would he not pick up the Urgot? Is it lack of damage in the late game, something like that?
No, they've got damage in the late game through Hecarim and Kassadin, and Jinx is even more. Jinx also has a very good lane matchup against Sivir. So Scale's better than the Urgot. Why not pick it up? Jinx Janna, in particular, really smashes Sivir in lane, and so does Graves.
Yeah, they pick up the Graves. He had a plethora of options, but is going to go with that guy. And, of course, a whole lot of burst damage there on the bottom side of the map, and a super stable lane as well, you have to think. And now it is going to be BAKA thinking about his decision there in the mid lane, and I would very much like to see this Vladimir picked up because his Vladimir was very impressive.
The other thing it does is it shoves in Kassadin early, so you're able to get a little bit of lane advantage. One of the lanes that does surprisingly well for Vladimir is the Kassadin matchup, so you're able to use that Tides of Blood, push the waves in early, then just continue to harass under turret with that auto attack. Don't mind the matchup at all, and looks like that's what he's thinking about going with.
Yeah, and Transfusion is actually fine under that turret as well, because you can take a couple of turret hits. You don't mind too much because you're getting all your health back at the same time. We will see how BAKA does as he does lock in that champion. And these are your lineups, ladies and gentlemen. LGD, though, looking very comfortable with this one. And GODV, we'll see how he goes on the blind pick Kassadin. So much confidence coming through from this guy, and that's always been how he plays.
Yeah, it certainly is. And all of a sudden, the Graves pick makes a little bit more sense. Is going to cover up some of the weakness of Kassadin in the early game.
Yeah.
Going to be able to keep him safe. It's a little bit more wave clear as well that comes through. Maybe that's why they didn't want to go with the Urgot pick. If they fall behind, then they can't clear out those waves. So Graves does supplement that, especially if he goes an early Phantom Dance. They're going to be able to help out in certain ways that maybe other AD carries couldn't have.
Yeah, and we'll see whether, in fact, having a Nunu there as well is going to help out as far as that attack speed goes in the later stages of the game, making him more of a hyper carry there. As we go through the lineups, ladies and gentlemen, Nunu against Gragas, and TBQ, I don't know how he managed to get Nunu here. I would have expected that one to be banned away, but this is the matchup to watch. Kassadin versus Vladimir there in the mid lane, BAKA versus GODV.
Yeah, I want to see how BAKA does in that one. In versus Crystal, there's going to be a Graves Janna lane versus a Sivir Thresh coming through. Expect maybe Snake to look for a lane swap, although after picking the counter pick for Flandre, they might want to get him in the top lane against Acorn.
Yeah, and we'll see what happens as far as that lane swap is concerned. Because, of course, if Sivir manages to get some fantastic spell shields through here and manages to maybe spell shield out a buckshot, they can actually trade relatively well there on the bottom side.
Yeah, and their shoving is kind of neutral as well because you have the auto attack reset as well as a boomerang that comes through from Sivir. That's kind of how Graves wins early games. Buckshots you through the wave, shoves you in, and then continues to bully. I do think, however, that Acorn, being the melee guy, not having the flash in the early game, they will probably want to lane swap into their Hecarim and try and keep him down.
Yeah, we'll see whether they actually manage to. Of course, Acorn has been fantastic at weathering the storm of these lane swaps on the Hecarim, and he's even been behind early on, but managed to find his way back in, and having the ability to take Smite there on that top laner makes things a whole lot better. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to start with a slight pause. That's why we're still hanging around here just for a little bit, but we'll be onto the Rift as soon as we possibly can.
Yeah, we certainly will, and we'll see exactly where the lanes do go. No exhaust being taken through here on LGD's lineup is something important to note out. Vladimir, if he gets going in the late game, can kind of dive onto your whole backline and get a lot of damage out. Players do like to be able to have that exhaust option coming through to maybe try and shut him down a little bit, but that won't be the case. And GODV, he's got a lot of pressure on himself now to try and beat BAKA out in lane in what is a pseudo counter matchup. I don't think it's anything too horrible.
Yeah, we'll see how he does do there. Of course, is TBQ going to offer enough pressure here in the early game in order to help this Kassadin make it through that early stage? Because, of course, Gragas, he has a fair bit of gang pressure there in the mid lane.
Yeah, Gragas has a little bit. There's no CC coming through from BAKA, so probably not going to be a kill from either side coming through. TBQ, once again, he doesn't have fantastic gank pressure either. Vlad with the pull, able to get out of the snowball, just going to be able to get away from there. And he's got 2 defensive summoner spells as well, with the Ghost, with the Flash. So that's going to be a difficult gank. I expect a lot more pressure to be put on the bottom lane of the map, and maybe even some counter jungling coming through.
Yeah, TBQ. Hey, man, of course, did let us know exactly that he was looking at the camera. But we are still going to have a little bit of a pause here, so going through the bottom lane, we will see whether there is going to be a lane swap there. But, of course, gang pressure might be in favor of Snake just because you do have that Lantern in order to get Gragas to close the distance. But, look, I'm not entirely sure what is going to be going on here at the very early stages of this game.
Yeah, PYL can stop a lot of that pressure coming through unless there's a good flash play with the Lantern in there somewhere coming through from Ella. PYL will just be able to send Tornado after Tornado across and disengage as much as possible. So I think that there will be some gang pressure down there, try and throw Imp and PYL off, but I think that they have the tools to be able to deal with it. And across the board, it's a very interesting composition because Beast and Flandre, they're going to be a lot more pretty strong in the after level 6. Acorn really does need a couple of items to be able to get to the point to dive Crystal out there. Probably needs to finish up a Trinity Force. So I think that Snake, they have an earlier peak, but in saying that, Vladimir, he's a late game beast. And across the side of LGD, they kind of have the Graves in the Janna to be able to help deal with that. So potentially the peak won't be as high as you would think coming out of a heavy engage comp like Sivir, like Gragas, as well as the Gnar coming through. So they need to be careful here and make sure that they set up their lanes pretty well, Snake, because in the late game, whenever you see the Hecarim with a hyper scaling mid lane, you always get worried that you're going to be outscaled because Hecarim in the late game is the best champion at putting a target on either a mage or an AD carry and just taking them off the map.
Yeah, and we've seen it time and time again, and it's been Acorn's Hecarim that has been one of the most impressive moving forward here. But just looking at Snake's teamfight comp here at the same time, Hemo Plague plus Sivir with so much AoE damage in the Ricochet and the Boomerang, plus Flandre with the Gnar, that's a terribly frightening concept here in the mid game towards that late game as well.
Yeah, it certainly is. They don't lack in damage at all coming through there, so they've definitely got the tools they need to be able to win a team fight. It's just the fact that GODV as well as Acorn, they'll have the ability to remove one of the key pieces from the team fight, whether it's a Sivir, whether it's a Vladimir, so you have to watch out for that.
Yeah, you do. But ladies and gentlemen, let's get on to the Rift. And here we are, ladies and gentlemen, and we're back into another pause. But at least you can see that there is, in fact, a pause. We're just going to see everyone hanging out there on the fountain, wanting to get into this game. We are going to make sure that everyone is able to play to their greatest capacity.
Yeah, we picked up another 11 seconds off the back of that one. It was
Not
good.
too bad. Yeah, that was one of the best 11 seconds that I've experienced in this game today. Hopefully we are going to have that one unpaused for you very, very soon, because I'm very excited to see how Snake do against LGD, who have looked so incredibly strong during this playoff phase. And we were wondering whether they were maybe sort of hiding some strategies, not exactly playing to their full potential moving forward in the last few weeks of the season, but seems like maybe that actually is the case, because, man, they have looked incredible coming through here, and it's a lot different to what we were experiencing.
Yeah, LGD are kind of that weird team that no one really put much stock on, and then the second half of the season hit, and they were performing very admirably, so have to give those guys credit as we are finally onto the rift. So LGD, they'll be on your blue side, Snake on the red side, and you see already a 5-man stack in the top lane coming through from Snake. It will be spotted out by a ward, but that might be an early invade.
Could potentially be. It's a decent ward there by Acorn. Has been known to put these down very, very often during their games, and they're going to spot every member of Snake heading through here. And they're probably wanting to dodge some sort of lane swap situation to come through, trying to get some deep vision down, but Acorn, he knows everything. Yeah,
he certainly does, and another ward was put on the blue buff area, so they'll be able to get the deep vision they want. PYL, he gets a relatively deep ward around the blue area, but he'll recall now as well, and we'll have to see exactly what this leads to. Do they go for the lane swap? Do they proxy farm a wave? Do they take all the jungle? No one really knows. We've seen some weird level 1 stuff.
And this is Snake as well, and if we're talking about weird stuff, this is the team that definitely does it. It looks like the lane swap is going to be countered here by LGD. Of course, Snake are going to be able to see that one come through as they head up the lane. Trinket Ward, I believe, is going to expire very, very soon there on the top side. Actually, no. That's a... Is that a green ward? I believe so. It's got a lot of timer on it. It is. So they are going to be backing away, and we'll see whether LGD do the same, as we are going to have the waves meet. And Sivir Thresh definitely didn't want to see that one. Flandre going to help out in the jungle here. And like you mentioned, this probably has a lot to do with actually keeping Acorn down rather than dodging out of the 2v2.
Yeah, it certainly can, but the early invade coming through from LGD means that they steal a buff on the weak side of the map, and they don't know that they're getting closed in on now, so Acorn, he needs to be careful.
He does, actually taking a lot of damage here as well, as Crystal's going to come through. It is. Boomerang's going to get a bit of damage down as TBQ gets death sentence, but I don't think that that's exactly going to be followed up with too much damage, as level 2 Nunu still pretty tanky.
But what that did, because of the fact that they were pinged out, is allow the jungle and top laner from Snake to invade on the strong side of the weak side of the map for them. So now they're in a position to be able to get the 2-buff start that they want. Although PYL, he doesn't want anything to do with that. He's going in there for a bit of harass. Did he get it? No, he didn't.
No, he didn't.
Beast did.
Beast managed to get it, of course. The gentleman that he is, Ella went for the death sentence steal, didn't quite manage to grab it.
So now everyone is closing in on the Wolf camp. No, actually they stopped for some Raptors, so in the end, they're not wanting to start any fights. Nothing funny happens. PYL, he's very grumpy at his team. You saw how many times he pinged.
He did. He pinged out a whole lot. This might be LGD losing focus. No, probably not. Of course, just wanting to harass down. Was a little bit bored there on the top side as BAKA's going to get force pulsed. Does transfuse his way back into that happy trade for Vladimir, but GODV, if he's getting any farm in this lane, he's having a good time.
Yeah, and he's already ahead in CS. He's building up the wave big. We said that the advantage that BAKA has is that he can push the wave himself. Going for that Amp Tomb over the Doran's blade is Doran's shield is a little bit strange to me because he doesn't get any health back, and it's actually going to hurt his early game a little bit. So
yeah, it's pretty interesting. He's using these Tides of Blood pretty vigorously, and transfusion not quite enough.
I would have even preferred, you know, that he went boots and just 4 potions. If that's the case, he doesn't think the auto attack harass will come through, so he doesn't want the Doran shield. I can understand why you don't want it against the Kassadin, but you're probably going to be able to farm up till a 1,200 gold margin on Vladimir. You're against the Kassadin. He's not really known for his awesome harass. You're probably able to sustain through that with 4 potions. And the Amp Tomb, it's just not going to give him anything early game.
Yeah, it's a strange decision. But look, we'll see how it works out. See whether he is going to be okay in that lane. Of course, still at about half health. And has used the only potion that he had. Beast is picking up some farm here on the top side as GODV is completely out of mana. Of course, that flask is going to be helping him out on that front, but he may have ran out of charges. here at this stage. Yes, doesn't quite have any left.
Well, this is what you do as Kassadin, because you only need 700 gold or 1200 gold, depending if you're going roller or tier. So you just legitimately burn through all of your consumables as soon as you get in lane. As soon as you take any damage, you just try and shrug it off as best as possible. Let nothing force you off the farm. Auto attack, shove back, do anything you can. And if you're allowed to do it, because the person didn't pick up enough sustain in their lane, then you're going to be able to get to that margin easily. And you can already see 39 CS to 33. He's on 1,200 gold. He can back away right now and grab his catalyst if he wants to.
Yep, no problem at all. Isn't going to. Decides that he's happy to stick around in this lane because, of course, BAKA, he's going to be heading back. Lantern going to be thrown down here just to help Crystal tank up this wave to make sure that they continue the freeze down on that bottom side. Acorn, though, was just more than happy to continue farming out as BAKA.
That was smart by Flandre. Recognizes that BAKA wants to go back, so top lane, not a place that he can safely farm. Instead, heads mid lane, picks up half a wave of CS, going to be able to stick around for the next one, try and shove it in, relieve some pressure away from Vladimir. Nice move coming down there.
Yeah, and of course, GODV completely out of mana here as well, so isn't really able to offer too much all-in potential based on that 2-level advantage that he has picked up. And this is a Kassadin, of course, not going to be doing too much early anyway.
Yeah, exactly right. So Flandre, in the end, on Gnar, able to pick up 10 extra CS over Acorn and a couple of extra levels as well. Acorn just popping level 3. Flandre, he's nearly at level 5, and you can see that he's even walking down to get in position to get an early dragon.
Yeah, Beast actually taking a lot of damage from that one. They're turning their attention to PYL here. Pops that Eye of the Storm and deters the rest of Snake from engaging any further. Of course, they know exactly what's going on here to LGD. They did manage to get a ward in that pit. 3 members strong on the side of LGD, actually here to contest this one. Double smites as well, which is very important to note. They have some secure potential for the steal. And consume. They've got a lot of ability to take a dragon away.
Yeah, they certainly do, and they're continuing to harass.
Oh, there's the flash over the Death Sense as well as GODV's coming through here. They do steal away the dragon, and Ella now taking so much damage. GODV picks up first blood, and this is terrifying. Hemoplague's here, though, as Acorn's taking so much damage. Just gets Goomba stomped on that one. GODV's going to fall down as Crystal makes his way into the fight. Hits level 6. There's the on the hunt as the boomerang doesn't quite land, but BAKA flashes forward. Boomerang's going to try and find it. BAKA does he have the transfuse? He's got the auto attack and picks up that kill. That is a massive trade for Snake early, but still, it's only a 2 for 3.
Yeah, 2 for 3, and the kills went over onto Kassadin, so that's a pretty good news story actually for LGD, because all the while in the top lane, Graves just freezing out the wave. Unless they get this turret here, I think you give him the trade.
Yeah, not too bad at all. Of course, GODV now able to pick up the Blasting Wand and his Catalyst as well. This is going to be a frightening Kassadin moving into the mid game because,
they need
of course,
to be careful. He's got his ult.
Yeah, he's looking for something. Riftwalk is, of course, there. Crystal wants to take down the turret. Oh, beautiful. Lantern is going to get him out to safety as well, and GODV not going to be able to continue that one. Imp, though, you can see 73 CS to 53, so 20 in the lead and looking pretty good.
Yeah, he certainly is, but all the assists came across onto Crystal. He also picked up a turret for himself. So in the end, yep, you give the trade over to Snake. They persevered with that mid lane turret, able to get it down in the end. So that was a good news story overall. Gold still in the advantage of LGD, just like 50 gold up. You'll see they'll tick over first, see?
Yep, okay, but still that means they're very even.
Hey, that's a potion, man.
That's a potion that Crystal just sold in order to pick up his Avarice Blade, looking a little bit better as far as picking up some extra gold is concerned. But man, that Force Ball's starting to do some work here for GODV. And he's tanky as well. I mean, every time he levels up, going to be getting a whole lot of his health and mana back. And you can see he doesn't really need it at this stage because, of course, he's incredibly healthy. Yeah,
he certainly is. An Imp, he's 2 levels over Flandre. He's rotated down into the bottom lane. Probably was looking for the 2v2 again, but instead they're just going to be able to force the Gnar player off the turret. And this is maybe where, the Hecarim can get ahead because he's still got a smite. He's able to jungle relatively well. Although I still don't understand why they don't just pick up a Hunter's Machete if they're going to jungle for this long.
Yeah, they always...
really confuses me. Like, they grab a flask over it, like, at the start of the game. Just bizarre.
It's very, very strange. But, look, maybe there's something that we don't know.
They'll get an extra 15 gold every big one they took. See, that one there, 52, that would have been an extra 15.
Yep. And if he had have actually managed to pick up a Trailblazer or the Skirmisher Saber, of course, which is what he's going to be opting in for, that would have been an extra 30 gold. And 80 gold for a Rift Scuttler is fantastic. That's why, ladies and gentlemen, you never steal away the Rift Scuttler from your jungler.
Don't take
it just means more.
creature off your jungler. If your jungler is in the vicinity, take the little ones. They don't care about that. But bang for buck, they get much more out of the big camps than you.
Yeah, especially that Gromp. Make sure you never steal away a Gromp.
Oh, and if you do, at least let them smart it.
Yeah. But Imp is going to be able to take down the bottom outer turret. Of course, top outer was traded for. And BAKA now able to freely auto-attack this wave, or Tides of Blood this wave, and shove GODV in. Of course, doesn't have a turret, but Riftwalk is going to keep him pretty safe. He's down by about 9 CS is BAKA here in the mid lane, but of course, his Vladimir has looked relatively strong. It was an interesting first item choice that has made it past that. And you saw he went back to base and picked up boots and that revolver. He could have started with those boots.
Yeah, he certainly could, and it would have just given him a little bit more sustain. But in the end, it doesn't really matter because he gets to the exact same spot. Now going for an Abyssal Scepter, got a Negatron Cloak, gets rid of some of the kill potential because you saw Kassadin was actually doing a fair amount of damage in that lane. So you don't want to have to put up with that. As Imp tried to get cute. Smokescreen missed. You lost a cannon.
Yeah, a little bit sad there. Has the most range, but you're not going to use collateral damage to secure that one. So still a good idea as Crystal's going to meander lazily out of the buckshot and keep himself healthy.
Yeah, and you see GODV actually going for a pink ward. Wow, that's a deep solo mission. Gets forced away. BAKA going to be able to keep him off that one. That was, I'm going to say, brave.
Brave. Yep. That was my thinking as well. Looking good, but of course has his Rod of Ages, and I think he had it about 10 minutes.
Yeah, so he's very far ahead. He's got that double kill, remember, as Acorn able to force Flandre off this turret. Needs to be careful. Oh no, actually he's got heaps of members here.
Yeah, there's the ult coming through as well as TBQ's going to charge the ult, but Flandre's going to die way too quickly. Only has that phage, and he's just too far behind to do anything.
Yeah, PYL able to pick that one up with the Ignite coming through, and all of a sudden they've got some turrets on that minions on that turret. In the meanwhile, bottom lane, Beast and BAKA, they're teaming up trying to take this one down. They've got potentially a teleport coming through though.
Yeah, they're doing Gobbies here as well. Ella taking a bit of damage from Imp as he makes his way down. BAKA pops the Ghost, looks to try and keep himself safe. Hemo play coming through as BAKA's trying to turn this one around just a little bit. Flandre teleported into this bottom side, but not going to find too much. All the members of Snake now here looking to try and siege down this turret. They really want to start this objective snowball.
Yeah, well, they want to start the fighting. You see exactly how Snake play this game. They try and force you into fights. Actually, good choice here from LGD to back away and just give up the objective because they had the Gnar available. They had the Sivir ultimate as well as everything that Ella could throw at people. So it would have been in a position to really get that one started.
Yeah, and Snake, they are going to be able to take down the last outer turret here for that team. 14 seconds now on the Dragon as every member of LGD actually went back to shop. So they are going to have the item advantage moving into this one, but they have to make it in time. And of course, there's a lot of consistent damage coming through from Snake, and Beast does a little bit extra now on the Gragas than he otherwise would have. So we'll see whether Snake can manage to take this one down. And it looks like it is going to be conceded here from LGD.
Yeah, no contest coming through there. They were able to steal the first one, so the second one really doesn't mean all that much. As you see, TBQ actually has a 2-level advantage on Beast. He was able to steal away the blue buff. He's just been a little bit more... he's had some more presence in this game so far, going 0, 1, and 3, able to really impact that first team fight coming through there. Also was a member of the dive top lane, and you can see once again teaming up with PYL. This is what we said that they do. They're getting wards out there as BAKA's in trouble. Yeah, he has pulled away though, does still have the flash available. Buckshot not really going to threaten his life, and he is forced out of the lane, but he's going to be safe. And Bloodthirster is the first item coming through for Imp here. Going a very aggressive mid-game build. Wants to be able to have the defensive stats that come through, as well as being able to lifesteal up a lot of the harass damage, and they're going to steal away another buff. This is just bad news for Beast, still level 6. Yeah, and it didn't go over to Imp, that is important to note, but Beast, man, he has been struggling this game, and there is a whole lot of vision available here for LGD. Swept out a little bit of it has Beast, but this top side of the map lit up by like a Christmas tree just a little bit, whereas the bottom side does belong to Snake just a bit. And we'll see what the aim is going to be. Of course, blue buff is about to respawn, did in fact. And we'll see whether Snake are going to be able to pick that one up. Yeah, well, they've got that line of 3 pink wards, so they'll be able to see anything that comes through right now. GODV wants to grab his blue buff, and looks like they'll be a little bit too late, although Gragas has now been pinged out across the other side of the map as he's going to get his blue buff. And if we just hit on the Bloodthirster a little bit more, it's a strange item for me, but I think it might just be because of this mid-game power dip that Hecarim as well as Kassadin go through. Just using even more of Graves' kit with some lifesteal now to get him a little bit of an advantage. I want to see if he goes Phantom Dancer afterwards or whether he commits ult in the mid-game with like a Youmuu's Ghostblade. I think that would be an overcommit. Honestly, coming through with the Nunu, you've got very good late-game potential as well as an AD carry, but certainly is something that he's opened his build up to. Yeah,
and the thing that I really love about this is the fact that you'd probably want to pick that one up anyways, but ultimate used by Acorn here on the top side of the map as TBQ's going to pop his just for the slow, and man, Flandre is supposed to be a tank, but not happening this time as Acorn burns him to death there with the Cinder Hulk. And LGD, they're just preying on Flandre this game.
Yeah, and we said that teams weren't going to do this, but because of how the lane swap worked out and how Acorn was able to get ahead through jungling, just makes a lot of sense to camp out the Gnar, who hasn't gone any defensive stats so far. You said he's a tank. Sitting on a Phage and a Null Magic Mantle. He's not tanky at all. He's just been able to be burnt through. And that was just a repeat gank because they understood that he was in the position where he could be easily dove.
Yeah, well, he's supposed to be a tank. It's exactly the thing, but not going to be the case as Acorn.
Teleport's available. Acorn can come behind here if they go in. They does.
Yeah, he's looking for it. Imp actually with a massive ultimate there as Crystal's going to take the Lantern out. Nice box to zone it out as Crystal going to flash away. There's a boomerang over Imp. Just takes down the Bloodthirster shield, but Snake, they are going to disengage. Not going to be able to take down that inner turret, and that is the On the Hunt blown.
Yeah, On the Hunt. Heal. Flash. Ghost coming through. Just so much expended for what was it? A teleport and a collateral damage. That's a huge win as TBQ gets hooked.
Yeah, he does, but BAKA only going to get a transfuse on him as Explosive Cast going to try and get the members of LGD out of this one. Snake doing everything they can to disengage. But that is bad news when they're using all of these ultimates that they really need in a team fight in order to stop LGD from running over them. That's when you know things are going wrong.
Yeah, it certainly is, and they use this time to get rid of some ward coverage, although they miss a pink. They'll grab the one in the Dragon Pit, but I don't know whether they'll get one in the brush. If they do, that's a 300 gold team fight. That may as well be a kill picked up by LGD just because of the removal of vision that they got from that little skirmish.
Yeah, and BAKA actually, interesting build path here. Went for the Lucidity Boots with the Distortion very early on. Wants to make sure that Flash and Ghost are both available as much as possible. Was in fact his most recent buy as he went back and picked up that Negatron Cloak and the Will of the Ancients together.
It also gives you a lot of speed to get onto the back line. Yeah. With the Ghost, you're able to fly through there. As Aloe, that's a face check.
Yeah, he's looking for it, but Howling Gale doesn't land. Crystal is here as well, but doesn't have On the Hunt. It's a nice boomerang, does a lot of damage to PYL. And Ella, he's going to survive.
Yeah, Gragas was there on the back and they didn't want to fight for it. In the end, they're just able to pick up a lot of the farm. Is actually the Zeal picked up now by Imp, so he will be able to pick up probably a Phantom Dancer, I would think, coming through there. Although I'm sure if he has the amount of gold perfectly for a Static Shield, he'll crap that one instead, just to prove me wrong.
Yep. Well, you know, it's the Name thing. If you've got enough money for it, you got to buy it.
Oh, I thought you meant getting relegated.
Oh, too soon. Too soon. I liked it, though. It was cute. My goodness. But the thing that I was going to talk about as well that I got rudely interrupted by Acorn killing Flandre was the fact that Imp doesn't actually change anything as far as his late game build path is concerned. He is going to want that Bloodthirster late, so getting the early mid game spike with the Bloodthirster is really, really intelligent because he can still continue to be that late game sort of hyper carry build path user in the later stages.
Yeah, he certainly can. So he can just go Bloodthirster after this item if he wants to skip the Last Whisper. If he wants the Last Whisper, it might be relegated to a 6th item because you generally go for a defensive item around that 5th item mark. So we'll have to see exactly what he goes with. But I agree with you. It doesn't really set his build back too much, except for maybe if he ever duels Crystal and Crystal gets a crit, I'm sure we will hear a cry of why did I not build an Infinity Edge?
Yeah, well, Infinity Edge, pretty good item there, of course. Crystal having that one in his back pocket. Has been sitting on that Avarice Blade for quite some time.
The other thing is because of the way they changed Infinity Edge and transferred some of its power over to Phantom Dancer, it hasn't got the same one item spike.
No.
I'm actually surprised we haven't seen people transfer their builds a little bit further so far, as Beast actually runs up and takes out a pink ward. There's just not any coverage there to stop him from doing so. That's 100 gold picked up right there. And yeah, so with I think it's only like 25% crit now coming through for Infinity Edge. It really isn't the item that it used to be.
No, it's not. And Snake now are going to be able to clear out some wards, but you're exactly right. Crystal, I mean, he needs that Avarice Blade to help out moving that Infinity Edge back to where it once was. So he's still going to be at that stage, you have to think. Snake do manage to get some vision down here, but LGD not going to sweep that one out just yet. They discover, no, didn't discover that pink ward. I think POL is going to find it there as the blue buff is going to be taken by, I believe, BAKA.
And Flandre, through freezing a lane in the top lane, he's able to catch up in CS now, 94 to 109. He was about 30 behind, I think. He was. So being able to pick that one up, that's a good news story for him. But they've started up a Dragon, and it looks like LGD this time because Ella's back in base, going to be able to grab one uncontested. Yeah,
Flandre did have teleport, but of course they didn't want to opt into a 4v5, and that is going to be the second Dragon taken down for LGD. But Snake, they sort of looked like they didn't really mind about that one. Of course, happy to sit on that one Dragon there, and they'll probably contest towards the third or fourth. Acorn just going to come through and rampage down some creeps. GODV looking to pick up some of this farm as well, but inner turret still sticking around on half HP. Snake unable to really siege that one down. Blue buff going to be stolen potentially.
On here though, Acorn. Oh, it doesn't look like he wants to. Maybe he still does. No.
No, does he? No. No, Dark Passage a little bit too powerful here from Ella. Does get Crystal to safety, and Beast is able to body slam his way out as well, so they are going to be fine. BAKA now wants to use that Tides of Blood to clear out these waves as quickly as possible. You can see Imp able to take down these turrets very well. That's another thing the Bloodthirster is good for, a little bit more flat AD just to smash down these turrets. He's going to be A-OK as well.
Yeah, so the shield also helps you a lot with turret sieging because it means you can take one of the stray Tides of Bloods or a transfusion, something like that.
Yep.
Cop it on the chin, get a couple of extra turret shots in, and then back away. So it's a good sieging item for that purpose.
Makes you look brave at the same time as well.
Certainly does coming through there.
Flandre going to clear out this mid wave though. Has relatively caught up, but Acorn now finds himself a wave, and he's going to reassert his dominance as far as that CS line is concerned. Crystal heading up towards this top side just to clear out the minion waves. And haven't seen too much in the way of team fights this game apart from very early on. And it's been a while since these teams have really batted heads.
Yeah, and what an unusual Snake game is GODV. He's stacking his passive ultimate in the brush, looking to get a fight.
Yeah, looking for BAKA. The Ignite's down. Hemoplague as well as BAKA ghosts after him. He really wants to pick this one up as GODV is going to use that Zhonya's Hourglass in order to stop that one from coming down, but the pull comes through. The flash from GODV. BAKA coming out the backside, and Acorn, he's going to easily pick that one up. Flandre, he wants to pick this one, but flashes over the wall as GODV is going to have to try and dodge everything from Flandre, and Im now finds his way in, and Flandre's dead as well. And that was a beautiful bait from GODV. Everyone from LGD managed to come down, and man, Snake really struggling now.
Yeah, and that was 2 items versus 2 items, and GODV just getting the better of that 1v1 duel. As Acorn, he's not done.
Yeah, looking for Beast here. Does manage to pick up the Grump, and Ella was there with a Dark Passage if he needed it. So Acorn just going to have to clippity-clop his way out and look a little bit sad.
Yeah, but Acorn, he was able to pick himself up another kill. He's got another assist off that as well. Imp finally on the scoreboard, so very good one trade there coming through from LGD. These scrappy 2-man team fights, that actually went in favor of LGD in the mid game, which is not something you really expect from a Snake lineup. They're normally very good at coordinating those little ganks that come through, and messed it up this time.
Yeah, they did. An Imp, he now has that Phantom Dancer completed as well. You saw the 1900 gold sitting in his back pocket, now has a pink ward on top of it. So 2-item spike hit for both of these AD carries, but Bloodthirster Phantom Dancer is pretty good.
Yeah, it certainly is. You throw the Blood Boil on top of it, and he's miles ahead. Probably an extra item. Nunu is just so good in this mid-game. Not to mention the fact that he doesn't have to really deal with a Hecarim or a Nunu in his face all the time. Gnar's going to try and do his job, but GODV's at the point where you probably prioritize him at this point in the game. And Imp, he's going to be the main beneficiary of all of this attention elsewhere.
Yeah, and Snake now looking to try and shove out these waves, but there's sort of no advantages that they've managed to pick up in any of these lanes. You can see Imp still ahead in farm, albeit by not too much. But
CS is
Acorn's
actually really
ahead.
equal ahead around the entirety of the map. Acorn's the only one that really built an advantage. And even that is only 25 CS in a lane swap. So that's pretty normal coming through for one laner to fall behind like that. Really is the jungle position for me where TBQ, he's just been up in levels the entirety of the game.
Yeah, and TBQ, we mentioned it before, he's just looked fantastic. Crystal, he is going to be in a fair bit of trouble, does manage to ward over that wall. Let him know exactly where GODV is, but he's going to be the sweeper used here. just to make sure that no vision is gained.
And neither team really sieges well in these compositions here. Atlas. Gragas, he helps out Snake a lot as well. Collateral damage used to try and steal the Raptor camp.
Imp, more than happy to throw that one. He may have heard me talking about his use of the smoke screen to try and clear out the cannon creep, and was a little bit perturbed. Decides to use it instead to try and take down a Raptor camp.
Yeah, so the thing that Gragas does to help the siege composition is you just throw barrels at people and they have to zone away from the turret. Not to mention the fact that your ultimate just physically pushes people away from their turret. So
yeah, you can get people away from things, most definitely.
Yeah, so he's going to help with the team composition being able to as well. Beast, you're a brave man.
He is a brave man, but he does body slam his way out. He's going to be more or less safe. Beast has picked himself up that Cinder Hulk and, of course, the makings of a Frozen Heart and the beginnings of what looks to be either a Banshee's Veil or that Spirit Visage. Spirit Visage works out quite well here for Gragas.
Could be a Locket of the Iron Solari as well.
Yeah, like that one, like that one. Of course, Kindle Gem already in Ella's back pocket as well. Might be going towards that item. But, of course, having a couple is going to help out too.
Probably going to be a face of the mountain with that Kindle.
Ah, that's a good point. Yeah, thank you very much for the wink. Hadn't noticed that he didn't actually have Face of the Mountain completed just yet. Mikhail's Crucible, though, for PYL. He's more than ready to keep Imp safe. And Imp looking like that pickaxe might be going towards the Last Whisper. Beast, though, caught out of position here just a little bit on the backside. Box comes down. Imp gets exploded, but Ella taking it back as well as Crystal trying to turn this one around the Monsoon. Nice work here by PYL and Flandre in an odd position, but nice wallop as he tries to get as much work done as he can. Acorn is going to have to defensively onslaught of Shadows, and neither team getting too much of an advantage. It is going to be a 1-for-0 so far, but BAKA very, very healthy. GODV as well. They have the ability to get a lot of consistent damage down as Ella takes a bit. Imp looking to try and get back in this one. Doesn't have a whole lot of summoners available anymore and would probably enjoy a collateral damage about this time.
Yeah, certainly would. As you see, BAKA, he started up the dragon now. This is a brave move coming through from Snake. There's a lot of healthy members still on the side as they go in for a fight.
Yeah, they're looking for something here. Explosive cast going to be used. Hemoplague there as well as BAKA pulls himself up. But look at the AoE from GODV as he uses the Zhonya's Hourglass to stop the engage. And man, this LGD lineup looking so strong, and that was a silly dragon from Snake.
That was just a weird start coming through from BAKA. They didn't have the CC required. Without the Gnar there to really get anything going. If you can't shut the mobility of Kassadin down, especially if he has a Zhonya's Hourglass, you're just not going to win very many team fights. And once again, you see the advantage of Bloodthirster. Imp able to get all of his health back in the middle of that fight by just continuing to lifesteal through.
Yeah, and it was PYL that used that Monsoon, also healed him up a little bit. He hit a creep wave a little bit, but he was at no health at all at the beginning of that fight. And if that was Crystal, he would have been chunked out for the remainder.
Yeah, exactly right. So in the end, another one team fight goes across for LGD. That means that they're on 3 dragons now, 2 away from that all-important 5th that will come at about the 50-minute mark. They've got 9 kills to 3, but only 2 turrets, so you think that maybe now is the time they try and start turning this into some kind of objective structural lead coming through.
Yeah, and look at their vision as well on the bottom side of the map. They're more than ready to pick up that outer turret in the mid lane. And man, LGD, they just haven't left too many options open here for Snake to take advantage of.
Yeah, they certainly haven't. And I just noticed that Acorn is 2 levels ahead of Flandre. So whatever he's been doing around the map, being able to get to good positions, really has put him in good stead, because Flandre, level 13, is really struggling, only equal with Crystal, whereas level 15 for Acorn, he is the highest on the map.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And not to mention,
that's a lane
Imp's
swap.
level 14. Yeah, but he's been taking jungle camps, and they give you a little bit more experience.
Yeah, but then you think, then how the heck is Beast behind TBQ? They've just completely, their distribution of experience has been phenomenal coming through here.
Yeah, they seem to have been killing more things on the map than Snake have, Spawn. Death Sentence not going to find anyone, as GODV is going to use that as an opportunity to Rift Walk in. Boomerang's going to try and deter LGD, but it looks to be not working too well, as they are going to continue shoving this one out. They take down a pink ward as well, as Flandre actually looking to go a little bit aggressive here as he hops away. Knows that he doesn't want to bite off too much more than he can chew, but decent wave clear from Snake is going to allow them to clear out this minion wave.
Yeah, and once again, LGD's lineup actually is very poor at sieging. There's not much that they can do. They can't really poke anyone off the turret. Unless they get these mid-game team fights, they're not able to siege well at all until pretty much they have like a 5-item Nunu who just dives people and doesn't really care about turrets. That's their answer to siege, the fact that they're just going to ignore them after about the 40-minute mark.
Yep.
But until then, they do really struggle to take any kind of structures.
Yep, Beast is going to try and take over here, but Acorn is going to smite that one down, of course. Has a little bit of extra damage on his, considering the fact that he's 3 levels higher, and Beast is going to use his to take down the Raptors instead. Consolation prize and hits level 13 as well, so not too bad here for this Gragas, but he hasn't been picking up too many creeps around this map, and GODV now going into split push mode against Flandre, who has been suffering just a little bit.
But they have a good response to this. They're able to send Vladimir into the top lane. He'll be able to deal with Acorn. They also have a good 3-man defense with Ala, Crystal, and Beast in the mid lane. This still isn't the answer to LGD's lack of a siege. Split push actually does completely nothing for them. They're not going to be able to push in on any other turrets regardless. So the game will still remain at a lull until the next Dragon, or I guess Baron, becomes the next objective.
And is there a way that Snake can capitalize on this sort of inability to siege coming through from LGD? And I don't think it's BAKA getting a whole lot of auto attacks in the face for free.
I don't think trading in the mid lane is something that he wanted to do as the teleport comes in.
Yeah, there's the home guards as well. Nice box to come down here as they take down the turret. Pull going to be used. TBQ actually knocked back into the team. Might have taken that as an advantage here as he pops the ultimate. Cancelled immediately. Flandre's here, but Crystal takes down TBQ. The Monsoon to try and disengage. Nice Howling Gale from PYL to get everyone out as Beast looking to body slam his way into the fight, but a 1-for-0, but the tower goes down, and Snake, they're looking to see whether they can capitalize.
Yeah, they're trying to push through the middle lane there. They get scouted out by that scrying orb, but maybe a bluff because it's not really going to do anything. And you see, in the end, they force for a turret, then they end up... Oh
my goodness, Onslaught of Shadow, so much damage down here, but Snake, they remain alive for now. Ella goes down. Crystal turns it around. GODV's dead now as BAKA somehow still alive, transfusing his way back up. Imp on about 200 health, but they do either storm the turret, and LGD hold on to it for the next little while as Snake limp away.
Yeah, so they trade 2 for 1 in the end, Snake's favor, but LGD were able to grab the turret, which is just fantastic news for them. I can't believe LGD were able to defend that turret through, once again, a very, I'm going to call it brave again. I'm not willing to call GODV a little bit silly yet, but he dove under the wall, over the wall into 4 members and made a pretty big hero play there. Was able to save the structure.
Play. Inverted commas. Not too bad, but yeah, he most definitely did, and saving the structure is a big deal. And if they're going to trade 1 for 1 for it as well, it's not too bad at all.
Yeah, it certainly isn't, and now they're in a position with the Last Whisper coming through for Imp to really be able to shred through this pseudo-tanky lineup. Beast isn't quite there yet. Flandre, he's got a Randuin's Omen in the Ninja Tabby, but he's really not there either. And let's have a look at this. It really is all about GODV flying over that wall and setting up that fight. The Wombo came through, and Imp in the end had to flash aggressively forward, but I can't believe that Beast and BAKA were able to live through all the damage that was coming through. It looked like it could have gone even better for LGD off the back of that, but in the end, doesn't get there.
Yeah, Beast is actually going to get a few love taps there from the Baron, but nice little Dark Passage from Ella to keep him safe as a PYL is going to have to replace some of that vision. No pink wards available in the inventory here for LGD to replace that on the Baron, but GODV was there to put one down just to make sure they know what's going on. Of course, the sight ward there. Acorn doesn't get flayed as he blows that devastating charge just to run quickly towards the minions.
And there's a huge wave in the bottom lane. Imp licking his lips. He's going to be able to go pick that one up, but it might give them... Oh, he actually gives it across to GODV. Wow. Yeah, that's the first time I've ever seen an AD do that.
That is ridiculous. GODV probably wants the, what is it, Void Stuff as quickly as possible. LGD are also able to pick up their 4th dragon of the game. Snake, 6 minutes now until they have to deal with potentially that 5th dragon on the LGD lineup, and they're really going to have to fight for that one. LGD have had a bit of a monopoly on these team fights thus far, but Snake have shown that they still have some abilities to do some work. TBQ not going to be found here by Crystal as he manages to back in time. And the thing about Snake is they do have a decent amount of vision around that Baron, but their vision control this game has just been not up to par based on LGD. You can see this whole map is a Christmas tree. of blue wards, but there's not too much red here. And we have spoken about the fact that, you know, wasting money or spending money on vision a little bit too much can often hamper you, but it hasn't been LGD this game.
Yeah, no, LGD, they've been able to keep a very good control over it because they've got the double sightstone. So when you invest a double sightstone, especially with Nunu, you have an easy time of keeping wards up. You just have to make sure that they're in relevant areas. And now that they're on the top side of the map, certainly is the case. So they'll be able to collapse around this Baron, sweep it out, make sure that they've got 100% vision control of this, maybe even start it up if they want to.
There is a lot of members around. They have started up the Baron. It's down to about half health as the boomerang comes through. LGD looking to peel away from it.
This is the thing. TBQ goes, they have to come to us because I don't take damage from it with the Eye of the Storm. Then we can just peel away and fight.
Yeah, well, Beast is in here a little bit far as TBQ going to go aggressive. Dark Passage going to get him to safety as Snake. They do manage to deter LGD from taking down the Baron. They are pinging out now the minion waves, which is stacking in favor of LGD. Acorn now with 4,000 health, just clopping wherever he wants.
Yeah, he is absolutely massive at this part of the game. He's been able to pick up that core build. Actually isn't going for the Frozen Heart, preferring to go for a Randuin's Omen, which is why he's got a little bit extra health of what we're used to seeing out of the Hecarim. And you see, once again, they're happy to go back to the Baron. Yeah,
Acorn here now as well. They aren't even going to take down these two wards in the back of the pit as Flandre was in the top side. He got pinged out, but look at how quickly this Baron's falling. Beast is going to be around, and the Baron falls down. Explosive cast. Maybe not the best idea from Beast here as GODV is going to blow the Zhonya's Hourglass. He's very, very low. Hemoblade takes him down, and Snake looking to try and turn this one as TBQ takes a lot of damage from Crystal, tries to crit him down, but you can see BAKA now rampaging through this fight. The flashover, death sends onto Crystal. Onto PYL as Crystal picks up the kill. And Snake, they turn around that Baron fight beautifully.
Yeah, and they might be able to pick up the first inhibitor turret of the game for it, Atlas. They're moving into the base, and that was just a heads-up play. BAKA with a huge ultimate knock both GODV and Imp back into his team. And that just meant that there was absolutely nowhere they could go.
Yeah, and Imp does have to be careful here. There is a death sentence available, and that has a very apt name in this case, but he is going to be safe, and Snake, they're going to disengage. Of course, BAKA already back to try and pick up this bottom wave, but inhibitor down in favor of Snake in a trade for the Baron.
Yeah, so they're able to pick it up, and that was with about a 7,000 gold advantage over to LGD. So they grab the Baron, but they lose 3 members. They lose the inhibitor turret and the inhibitor, and it's in the mid lane, which is just all kinds of bad news. Probably just going to look to get control over this dragon area and try to take their 5th, because you don't want to force any more fights when you're out of position like that.
Yeah, well, it's true. And now BAKA actually picks up another blasting one, going for his 6th item of the game. And he has got a gigantic core coming through here with that Void Staff, Abyssal Scepter, Zhonya's Hourglass, and of course the Will of the Ancients. But let's look at this again. How did Snake do it?
Yeah, so they got the Gragas ultimate, then it landed a fantastic Emo Plague, and GODV, he just couldn't get enough done in that team fight. BAKA was zoning everyone on the back line. In the end, TBQ goes down. Acorn was completely ineffective, and because they didn't start the fight, they couldn't set up the front wall of all their beefy frontliners that comes through, the Hecarim, the Nunu. And honestly, they were just in the wrong position to start that one up.
Yeah, it just didn't really work out for them. Imp is going to be able to take down this red buff. Doesn't quite have the Infinity Edge just yet, but this is a 4.5 item Crystal who's got the Bloodthirster now completed, has his last Whisper Infinity Edge, and this Graves, how is he this far behind as far as these items are concerned?
Yeah, so he's 1,000 gold down, as you see.
But look at how many items he's missing. He's just spent his 2,300. Thank goodness he now has that Infinity Edge, and you have to think this might be where it turns around, because the consistent damage coming through from that 3-item spike from Sivir was huge.
Yeah, it certainly was, so we'll have to see whether they can get it done. Mid-wave has been pushed out a little bit, so Snake still have to be careful here. Acorn is a huge threat on the front line there. He's got... Oh, he actually went Warmogs. Wow.
My goodness.
He's got a lot of health that they're going to struggle to get through. And if he can get a good engage, you feel like them collapsing onto Acorn is going to be bad news. He's going back with the home guards. Wants to be able to teleport in. You can see him pinging the pink ward behind the team. Do they go for it?
He is. He's going to teleport in. Does have the home guard boots. BAKA almost gets exploded immediately as the Zhonya's comes through, but BAKA does survive with that Dark Passage coming down. GODV going to use that Zhonya's Hourglass as well as BAKA now finally goes down. Snake now have to deal with missing a whole lot of consistent damage as Crystal tries to get some damage back, but he has to run away. Can't even take the Lantern as Ella's going to fall down, and a clean ace from LGD. Beautiful teleport from Acorn.
And they did it in perfect time. Atlas, 10 seconds until their 5th dragon is up. They're going to be able to take down a turret. Then they'll turn around and pick that one up. They extend their lead back around the 10,000 mark, and just a very good team fight. Much better setup coming through this time from LGD.
Yeah, and it was all about that setup as well, and they burst BAKA almost immediately, had to use the Zhonyas and then didn't have anything else that he could do in order to survive, and he may have wanted to use the pull maybe a little bit earlier on, but nothing he could do in the end, and he's just going to be LGD able to run over it. And you have to think it's a lot to do with these mid laners as to how these fights are going to go, because GODV, he falls down very early, Snake end up winning the fight, and it is going to be BAKA falling down early that cause LGD to take control.
Yeah, exactly right. So a lot of pressure now on BAKA. A lot of the gold is in his pocket. You mentioned that he's near 6 items already. Very cost-efficient item coming through from the Vladimir player, but he needs to be the guy that steps up, gets a huge Hemo Plague, because we said what make their team comp not lack damage is the fact that that Hemo Plague can go across everyone, and then the huge Wombo combo can come in.
Yeah, but it just hasn't been happening here, and Crystal was having to kite back the entirety of that last team fight, unable to get the consistent damage down that he was able to previously in this, because of course Sivir just works so beautifully moving forward, but if you're trying to go back, it's so much more difficult.
Yeah, it certainly is. The last thing I want to point out to do with gold is that Acorn is 6,000 gold ahead of Flandre in the top lane.
That is unbelievable. Now has a Zephyr on top of the rest of his items. He's completely full build, where Flandre is still missing, what, 1.5 entire items and a Home Guard enchant?
Yeah, it certainly is. A little bit more than that if he goes to Trinity Force. He's only got one of the 3 components, so...
Not to mention 5th Dragon here as well, as Acorn is launching himself at the Snake lineup. BAKA going to transfuse him just to, you know, at least try and deter him from coming through there, as Flandre trying to pick up some farm there on the bottom side, but still 130 CS behind. GODV actually going to come through. Nice spell shield there from Crystal, but maybe a little bit late, as they are going to lose the turret, and that fell down so quickly. LGD just looking a little bit unstoppable, and now with a 12,000 gold lead and that bottom inhibitor down, they're looking to try and take down the inner turret in the top side of the map as well, just to try and pad these gold limits a little bit more. And LGD, they're just looking like they're going to be able to take this one. It's just looking very, very frightening here for Snake.
Yeah, they're at the point now where Nunu has that much armor that he completely disregards turrets. You see his health that comes through as well. And they're just going to be able to pressure the top lane. They took the bottom inhibitor through there. Only 30 seconds on the Baron, so they'll probably just go back shop, pick that one up, and then finish this game pretty textbook. But a lot of it's had to do with how strong Acorn is compared to the Gnar. Hecarim at the moment, I honestly cannot believe how many games he gets through. You can say that Shyvana does the same job as him. No one does it as well as Hecarim in the top lane. Being able to single out someone and just get rid of them off the map. He's the best anti-carry in the game.
Yeah, and I mean, Urgot has been making some names for himself on that front as well, but we've been seeing it, and it's been Acorn time and time again, just looking fantastic. So I don't know why it hasn't been banned either. We'll have to ask. We'll have to find out, because just looks ridiculous. LGD, they are going to be able to go for this Baron, though, as soon as it spawns. You can see Imp down here as well, so they are going to take that one down. Nothing that Snake can do. They just don't have the positioning, as 5th Dragon still rotating around LGD, and Snake probably not looking to fight until that one drops off, but it still has some time. We'll see what they're going to do. Acorn actually going to get hooked up here just a little bit. He's going to use the ultimate to get out, and that's a big cooldown now down for LGD. But they do have the Baron. We'll see whether the Siege is still going to come through.
Yeah, they have the Baron. Wow.
Yeah, Beast actually has to get out of here as well, but GODV and Imp with so much damage. Ella unable to quite get the Lantern there in time, and that is the pick that they were looking for, and you have to think this turret not long for the world.
Yeah, exactly right. They're able to get the pick. They can just rotate into mid lane where there's a turret prepared earlier by Acorn. He'll zone them away. They'll be able to pick up another inhibitor. And now you think that they can just waltz into the base and take it at will. They're actually grabbing all 3 outer turrets. Just want to finish this game as textbook as possible.
Yeah, they want to take down as many turrets, as many inhibitors as they can. Just make sure those stats are looking as great as possible here, as LGD take everything from Snake. The Nexus turret's still standing But with 3 inhibitors down, it's going to be very, very scary here for Snake in order to try and defend this one and the LGD lineup that are looking huge. They are going to go back, though, which I find a little bit strange. They could have probably waited for some super creeps to become a nuisance and then take the base, but not going to be the case here. But 3,700 gold sitting on Acorn, and he's got nothing to do with it.
Yeah, he certainly hasn't, so we'll see what he does. He actually sold something, then picks up a GA.
Interesting. So I believe his boots are down, and he's going to wait in base, make sure he keeps... No. In fact, he sold his Warmogs.
Yeah.
Interesting. I believe you keep the Home Guard enchant until you leave the base after you sell your boots, though.
Potentially.
I believe.
I don't sell boots very often.
Neither do I.
Very cost effective.
Yeah, but you get to that later stage of the game, and you're playing an AD carry, and you want to pick up a Zephyr.
Potentially.
Never really understood whether that's like a better idea or worse, because mobility is so useful on an AD carry, but people tend to do it. It is going to be the Mkuru's Scimitar here for Imp as he finishes up his build. A little bit more damage here available, and he can get rid of some of the CC to come through. Of course, the Hemo Plague probably going to be the option removed more often than not, unless POL can get to that.
Teleport into the top lane.
Oh my goodness, Acorn looking to try and become a nuisance as well. By becoming a nuisance, continue to be a nuisance as Beast gets knocked back as well. Acorn may have gone a little bit early this time as he takes half of his health. Of course, my goodness, Crystal's still doing relevant damage. Pops the ultimate now as well as they're looking to go aggressive. Buckshot over the top, and Beast is getting melted. Ella does manage to land the Death Sentence, but Imp is going to use his Scimitar to get rid of that one. He gets played back in. Hemo Plague's there as well. BAKA does use the Zhonya's as Imp does fall down, but LGD are just destroying the Snake lineup. Flandre, the only man standing with a GA. But of course, he's going to die a couple of times here as LGD with 4 men are going to be able to take down the base.
Yeah, so they're able to get in. They get an ace for 1. The surrender actually comes through from Snake.
Yeah, Snake wanted to waste no time.
Good game coming through from LGD.
Yeah, pretty disgusting victory there in the end. Of course, managing to pick up the 5th dragon, and from then, looked like the final nails were in the coffin. As we have a look at the damage done, and you have to think Kassadin pretty good.
Yeah, Kassadin was good, but more surprisingly, Crystal won it out. Sivir had the most damage done to champions in game, so still having a good showing coming through there for his team, but MP looks pretty happy now.
Yeah, that Imp-YL bottom lane actually just having some grins with one another. They have definitely picked up some synergy there, and Imp, of course, wanting to come over to LGD just so that he could play with POL, and it's looking like it's definitely paying off.
Yeah, it certainly is paying off. Acorn also had a monstrous game. Maybe we won't get to see the Flame sub, which would make me very sad, but Hecarim, it has to go. It is just way too good at the moment. GODV, also with the blind pick, Kassadin didn't do as well as we thought maybe mid-game, but late game, he was an absolute monster.
He was a monster, but we do have a replay, ladies and gentlemen. Let's check out exactly how LGD managed to take this one.
Yeah, so this was a team fight that really sealed it for them. It was in the bottom lane. You see the teleport coming through with the home guards from Hecarim, but it's all about how much damage BAKA takes at the start. So when we roll this one out, look how aggressive they're willing to go. They get a couple of crits. He's in the smoke screen, and they just pull the trigger. And all of a sudden, he is out of this team fight. He only gets his ultimate, I believe, down onto Acorn, who dives onto the back of him and just completely eradicates him out of the fight. And meanwhile, the rest of the team, through GODV and Imp, they just chase so damn well. They're able to continue the fight at all times. They go forward so beautifully, and they mop the floor with him. 5-0.
Yep, completely mopped the floor. And of course, Crystal was unable to get a whole lot of that damage down that he was known for. Just wasn't really happening here. We'll see whether Snake can turn it around, though, because, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to have a short break, but we'll be back for Game 2 between